All right, well, another Tuesday morning. I know kuna shida mingi, traffic imerudi because of back to school, slow internet here and there, but we're still here to brighten up your morning. This is a Morning Cafe. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. How hot is a coffee where you are? I'm used to Stanley Ringit. It's a Biashara Tuesday. This particular day, we take a look at the whole brick and mortar of startup companies. What do you need to know when you're designing your company and your business particularly? That is what we'll be discussing. And a little bit later on, and the whole tail end, we get into some maneno ya innovation, maneno ya fish farming. We'll be telling you about that. Okay. Oh yes. Someone should innovate and know how to make sure we still have internet. But a quick look at the dailies this morning. Schools reopen to JSS teachers strike. Yes, more trouble for schools as the CBC teachers continue with their strike. On the Daily Nation, back to school chaos. And I said, yes, now traffic imerudi, internet iko low, lakini bado kuna maji. Oh yes. Yes. Interestingly, so yesterday they had risked to really have the other headline focusing on Linturi. So this is what... the Linturi headline has been relegated, but we'll come back to that. Sakata ya shule hewa yalipuka. Something different to do with education. Goes to schools. And now, because yesterday we were done with a fake fertilizer scandal. So immediately after fake fertilizer scandal, you jump into a fake schools. Sema nchi feki. Yes, next time I don't know the next fake thing will be. But anyway, matters counties there. Budget boss loses fight for access to county the accounts. They're saying the past request by the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, has been turned down by CBK. All right. House for hire, and I think this is one of the biggest headlines. Now this is where we focus on Linturi. The People Daily, house for hire. They finally absolved him from blame. And because it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday, so you do expect some very interesting and out of this world headline on the Star. Not a mention of the schools reopening, not a mention of Linturi. Nothing. They just go, it's Tuesday anyway. Of course, they have the MyGov pull out, and then they go with this one, 441 million shillings for Uhuru Parks as bigwigs pension bill soars. And you know, you can actually see that it's just the Azimio leadership. The Star. What to feature kidogo. But anyway, into regional matters, Daily Monitor, and we always say when you take a look at Ugandan papers, they really have a very huge similarity to what even as Kenyans are really facing. Talk about the taxes weighing down Ugandans. 18% consumption tax. Yes. That's value-added tax. 30% rental income tax. 30% income tax. And then 20,000 Ugandan shillings advance income tax for motor vehicles. You know, everything else, everything that happens in Nairobi, it also happens more or less the same. But I think some of these rates are quite high. 18% VAT. They're saying about 3.5 million taxpayers obliged to pay about 10 different taxes. Wow. So don't think you're alone as a Kenyan. Hata wale wa Uganda wako hapo hapo. And even as we flip to the new vision, the whole you're saying it's my pet discussion, so I'll definitely continue with it. So last week on Friday, census, the National Population and Housing Census began on Friday in Uganda, and according to the Ugandan Bureau of Statistics, saying they're to blame for the census glitches. Okay. For some census glitches. When do we expect the numbers out? By probably the 20th, because it ends on the 19th of this month. So maybe by 20th thereafter, we do expect them to give the numbers. And we are on the headline of the new vision there. Uganda strikes fuel import deal with Kenya. Finally, they've gone back to that. And this is the new vision in Uganda. Initially, Uganda had even taken Kenya to court because of a disagreement over this deal. But finally, there's a deal, and the name Kenya features on the front page of the new vision. My swari interneti. In Tanzania, internet hamna. Hamna kabisa. Massive impact of nationwide internet outage. In Kenya, it is slow, but at least we got internet. In Tanzania, I think they don't have it completely.
They're trying to watch TV47 on, on YouTube, but then it's just buffering all there.
Na wanasema ati watu wanafaa move to satellite, waache mambo ya cable. But for redundancy's sake, you need the cable. You can there are 3 cables. There's a CCOM cable, EC cable, and Teams cable, and a C fiber optic. It's only one that has survived. Those are the 2, I think, CCOM and EZ. They've been damaged under the Red Sea.
So they're using the South Africa redundancy.
I don't know, but it would appear in Tanzania it is much worse. In Kenya, at least slow speeds, but we still have connectivity. And huduma nyeti zilizo na hapa wakitumia neno nyeti wanaongea kuhusu mambo vital.
Yes.
Vital services. Sio ile ingine wanafikiria. Yes. Huduma za benki, taxi mtandao, that's mobile apps, malipo ya bill, mikutano na elimu, huduma ya afya.
Now this one caught me. Yes. This one was the one that caught my eye.
Wazee kubeti.
Wanasema imekuwa siku ngumu kwa kampuni na wateja wa mchezo wa kubahatisha kupitia mitandao wa interneti.
Kwanza tonight
wameshindwa kufanya ubashiri. Yes.
Tonight there's Manchester City versus Tottenham.
Yes. Today is one of those days you talk to Tottenham.
Wale Tanzania ndugu zetu hawezi kubet. Hamna internet, hamna. Huduma nyeti.
Uzitazama hiyo mechi pale. Let's take a look at the weather and see what to expect. So this is according to the Kenya Meteorological Department. The rainfall forecast between today all the way to the 20th. Let me just zoom in for you so that you can see how it has been spread. Less than a millimeter of rainfall focuses on 3/4 of the country. So majority of the country will be receiving very minimal and actually less and no rainfall. It focuses on the western region, the central region, as well as parts of Rift Valley, that most of the parts, including Machakos, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, Nyeri, Nakuru, the whole of it, we're probably getting between 10 to 20 millimeters. So that's really light showers for the next about 6 days on end. And then let's focus on parts of Nairobi. They say 100 to 120 millimeters thereabout, but then really say some light showers on the same. Some parts of Narok, Bomet, Kisii as well will be getting around 50 to around 70 millimeters, maybe even extending to 100 millimeters thereabout. But largely that is how things are looking like. And the Met Department says, let me go back to that for that message, really talking about how, okay, kama pia imeanza saying my fat fingers imeanza kukataa, saying sunny and dry conditions are likely likely over several parts of the country, as shown there. So,
okay.
Yes, but then they say expect some continued rainfall over central highlands, western Kenya, as well as Rift Valley.
Basically what they're saying ni ati nguo sasa zaweza kauka.
Oh, yes.
Let's take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi, and I think you should probably change the settings. Yes, much better. So, a quick look at the main tributaries in Nairobi. Feeding into town, it's a bit slow. Yes, internet speeds. Internet speed, so probably...
But then I understand, ulikuwa umezoea gallivanting the whole huge screen. So right now...
Yeah, finally there. It's a bit slower, but at least we have the roads. And you can see the major roads towards town. The northern corridor is looking good, but once we get closer... and yes, one of the problems you can identify as at now is that the Pangani interchange, we can see, yes, it's already getting slow. And that's a section where Kiambu Road meets Thika Road, Toa Mkono. That's one section I've seen with trouble. The other one was on Jogoo Road. I saw a bit of trouble on Jogoo Road. Yes, yes. Oh, wow. You can see even Jogoo Road, there's a bit of traffic, especially at Makadara, and it's red at this time, meaning there's a slowdown there, probably traffic at standstill next to Makadara Low Courts and all the way to the City Stadium roundabout. So but you can see what's happening around Machakos bus station. Total standstill. This section of the road, this is Muthurwa, next to the Machakos bus station. This could actually indicate there's a lot of travel, back to school travel,
yes,
probably.
true.
So most people are heading towards that part of town. So if you're heading towards town, if you can avoid this area, please do. You can use the other road through industrial area, back to Huru Highway and into town. Let's go back to Thika Road. And Thika Road, nothing much to report, all the way down past Safari Park, Garden City Mall, KCA, and all the way into town. And so far, so good.
There was a red spot just before the interchange
Okay.
on Thika Road. We've got Kawaida this morning.
Wayaki were also looking good, past Kabete, all the way down to Museum Hill interchange into town. Nothing much to report about. Let's go further south, take a look at Ngong Road. And yes, Ngong Road also looking good. Bits and pieces of yellow there, meaning once you get closer to Prestige Plaza, but after that, and all the rest of the roads are looking good. And that's enough traffic for this morning.
Oh, yes. All right, let me take you through what to expect for today on the whole news diary. But then key really to take a look at ODM leadership will be offering some food aid distribution, as well as NAC leader Mother Karua will be offering the whole food aid distribution as well, and just talking about the same and how the government has been doing on the whole food aid distribution and the whole preparedness when it comes to some of these disasters as well. Let me take a look at other key highlights that you need to know on our news diary for today. Also, interest, we do expect to see a couple of leaders, as well as even from the Azimio leadership, talk about yesterday's the National Assembly Committee's report on CS Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, after he was really exonerated. Wait to see what they will be saying on the same. Also, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, Chair David Ogin, as well as CEO Talib Mbarak will be the chief guest during the launch of the Commission's annual report, financial year 2022 as well as 2023, that will be happening this morning. So this particular report will be detailing the activities undertaken by the Commission during the reporting period, that's 2022 as well as 2023, including the corruption reports received, investigations undertaken, cases recommended to the DPP for prosecution, and those completed in the court in the financial year 2022 as well as 2023. Freddie, when you take a look at this year, 2022 as well as 2023, there were two governments, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, as well as now getting into the Kenya Kwanza regime. So it is going to be interesting to see how that particular year, it was one of those years that even the former DPP Nuruddin Haji was really pointed, just blamed for the rising cases, for the high-profile cases that were dropped. So wait to see how that is going to be reflected on today's report. Right here, TV47 will be telling you all that. But before we get into the newspapers, let's take a look at Today in History.
All right, let's now take a look at the dailies this morning. All right, on the Standard, schools reopen to JSS teachers strike. Intern tutors say they will not return to class unless they are employed on permanent and pensionable terms and get compensated for the work they did, following court ruling that their employer violated the law. Now, remember this issue began at the beginning of the year when about 20,000 intern teachers who've basically been handling the junior secondary school down their tools and said they will not be working. Now, they've said Now, there's a photo there of teachers in Nakuru on the streets demonstrating, vowing not to go back to class until their issues are addressed. Still on the front page of the Standard, they call it a close shave, how MPs saved Linturi's CS post. Majority members of the probe committee said the allegations were unsubstantiated, letting the CS keep his job. This is one of the big discussions this morning, and we'll be looking at that with my panelists later on. Other highlights on the top strip of the Standard: Ruto tax plan to dampen climate change drive. Elsewhere, why the deputy president is now reading Uhuru's script. Interesting, and it's one of those interesting discussions about Gachagwa's, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's changing faces. In business, Equity Bank profit rise by 25%.
And Fred, because you talk about business, on the Financial Standard, a story that more or less depicts your 60 years in media right now. It says the front page of Financial Standard this morning, worry of Kenya's aging civil service. And they say new official data shows a worrying trend across government agencies, or probably even private.
I'm not in the civil service.
With no succession, that's why I also added /private probably. Okay. Succession plan for the aging workforce.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on to bigger and better news. EPL title, too near yet still far for Arsenal. And if you flip the paper, is that your Premier League title? And they have Arsenal's goalkeeper, David Raya, reacting during their match against Manchester United. And he seems to be looking ahead and wondering, why is it there?
And you know, Fred, this year is going to be, if you actually win, it's going to be a big one. Because email was in 205, I think Facebook around 206, around there, WhatsApp. So technically, as a national fan, you've never texted or you've never posted that you're EPL champions.
Moving on swiftly, Spurs boss dismisses Stokes fans will want to lose against Man City tonight. The big game, Manchester City versus Tottenham. Stanley, niwachie tu leo. The pressure is too much for us. And that's the Standard this morning.
On to the Daily Nation, they talk about back-to-school chaos. They have a pupil there at Muslim Primary School in Nakuru County fetching and scooping water from a corridor using a plate after reopening for term 2 yesterday. And that is just a glimpse of different parts of the country on how the situation looks like in terms of how when the pupils went to school and found the infrastructure was looking like. And at the very top there, they say LSK, that is the Law Society of Kenya, criticizes the government for reopening schools without addressing the learners' safety. So they take a look at a glance. Teachers and students in some schools are forced to relocate to neighboring institutions. The access to roads to some schools have been cut off and buildings damaged as a result of heavy rains. Teachers and students in some schools are forced to suspend lessons to drain and clean flooded classrooms. And in Uasin Gishu County, hundreds of learners were stranded in Eldoret due to lack of means of transport. And finally there, in Lamu West, students had to use boats to cross the Gamba section of the Lamu-Witu-Garsen Road, which is currently flooded. On the bottom, a story that will be largely focused on state of the nation, I believe, the whole Linturi, the aftermath of it, and taking a look at what really happened. MP's split on move to clear Linturi. And still on the bottom, a very interesting story there. Help me access treatment, pleads woman bedridden for 14 years. Pictures there, Evelyn Chirop. Wow. At the top, Machogu orders probe into ghost schools. Now this is going to be, and rather should be one of the biggest conversations for this week. As we're saying, we're just done with fake fertilizer, now we're getting into some fake schools. MP denies role in establishment of fake schools in Baringo, that is on page 2. But on the back page, senators push for counties to settle contractors' debts. But that is not the only story on the back page. Still on the back page, they say Bill 6 to shield retired state staff against inflation. Retired public servants will get an automatic cost of living adjustment in pension computations if Parliament approves a proposed bill. Keen for you.